I'm all about working smarter, not harder. So, in true Dawn fashion, I'm taking one of my most loved Instagram lives and giving it a permanent spot right here on the podcast. But this episode isn't just a lazy repost, even if I am recording this in my cozy socks in my bed. It's real, it's raw, and it's all about navigating anxiety, especially the kind that hits when you're running a business, showing up online, or just trying to do the damn thing without spiraling. We're going to talk panic attacks, people pleasing, imposter syndrome, and how to actually move through it all without hiding, quitting, or crying on the bathroom floor. Okay, but maybe a little crying first, actually. So grab your favorite drink, pull on those cozy socks, and snuggle up under your favorite blanket, and let's dive in. Hey there, you just stumbled into the Anxious Creative Podcast, where overthinking turns into ahas, mess ups become magic, and anxious spirals, totally part of the process. I'm Dawn Bradley, your messy, imperfect host, here to help you, the recovering people pleaser, the perfectionist, to stop chasing the unachievable and start embracing the chaos. Spoiler alert, that's where the real magic happens anyway. So buckle up, friend, because we're about to have some laugh so hard till you cry moments, a few hard truths to help you grow, and naturally, a little, or let's be honest, a lot, of oversharing. You ready? Let's dive in. Let's talk about anxiety. Let's talk about how it runs our lives without even realizing it. Oh my gosh. I was going to say good morning, welcome to Business Breakfast in Bedhead, but it's 10 a.m., but I'm still going live because this week's podcast is all about how to stop a panic attack before it happens. And if you watched my stories the last couple days, I was battling a panic attack on Sunday all day long, and I was fighting it and fighting it. And if you have anxiety, you know that feeling of the feeling inside of your body of I've got anxiety, I'm worried. You feel like you need to take action right away. You don't know what to do. You feel like you just need to do something, but you feel paralyzed at the same time. I'm curious, those of you guys that are here live with me right now, what does your anxiety feel like in your body in a physical sense? Because before I get into sharing like a little bit more about anxiety and how to stop a panic attack and help for anxiety, whether it be in your life, your business, or your relationships, I want you to know that this is a safe space and a judgment-free zone where we can show up real, raw, honest, and vulnerable together. So that's what I want to start. That's what I want to start by saying today. I don't want to be someone talking on a screen at you. I want to talk with you this morning because anxiety is a tough topic to talk about. It's hard to share openly and vulnerably about our anxiety, about those fears, about that inner voice telling you like you're never gonna, or it's not gonna work, or there's no way, or who are you to stand up for yourself. And so if any of that sounds familiar, whether it be in your career with your clients, whether it be in your life with your friends, family, relationships, I want to chat with you today about it. So can you put a 1 in the chat if you're willing for this to be a safe space and a judgment-free zone? Because talking about anxiety can be very hard. We don't want to admit that we feel weak. We don't want to admit that you don't want to admit that you're having those thoughts inside of your head about who am I? The imposter syndrome, right? I feel like imposter syndrome is a form of anxiety of who am I to be doing this? I got my dream job at 24 years old. Quick recap. I became a hairstylist at 18. I worked in a salon for the first 3 years and then I got bored and antsy. And so I moved over to the UK. I ended up getting an amazing job at the Aveda Institute in the UK, lived there for just over a year. Came home, then I went to Australia and I got a job as the lead colorist for the Australian Hairstylist of the Year. And I was so excited, like beyond excited. Oh my gosh, I'm 24 years old. I just landed a lead colorist position for the Australian Hairstylist of the Year. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, this was like before social media. So I like mass emailed everyone at home. I was so proud of myself. And then I started working and reality sunk in and I'm like, who am I to be doing this? How did he give me this job? The internal mean girl that was like, you're not cut out for this. It was a color line that I had never used before. And it was in a salon atmosphere that it was not used to. I didn't know the color line. I didn't have the confidence. I was second guessing everything. And you can ask one of my good friends, Sarah, that I'm still friends with to this day, that I was living with at the time. I would come home after work and just be a zombie, like the anxiety. And I didn't even have a word for my anxiety. I didn't know what anxiety was. I didn't know what panic attacks were, but I would come home and I would just feel like I'm in over my head. Clearly they made a mistake. Clearly, like he shouldn't have hired me as lead colorist, even though I did like a practical exam. I colored someone's hair, colored 2 people's hair for him. He saw me, he hired me for a reason. The disbelief in myself and the anxiety that like I'm out of my league was so strong. And I remember one day I was putting color on someone's hair and the receptionist came over and they're like, Dawn, your next 3 clients are waiting. You need to speed up. And I honestly wish I could tell you what happened at the end of that day, but I have zero memory. Zero memory. And I mean, there's proof in like when a traumatic event happens, and trauma doesn't mean it has to be a catastrophic event. It just means something you weren't mentally, emotionally, or physically prepared to deal with at the time that your brain can forget. So I don't remember how that day ended, but I remember getting to a point where I'm like, I'm in over my head. I can't do this. I remember I colored the hair of a lady who was on on Australian Sunrise morning news show. And I had pulled the color through, but I guess the previous colorist didn't pull the color through. So it went a lot darker because your hair was so porous. If you're a hairstylist, you know this. And they got an email saying they got like over 100 emails in the morning news of people like complaining about her hair color and that we needed to take it back. And I was like, I don't know, like with permanent color, like I'm going to have to bleach it. And like, what? And it just like, I was just over it. And again, I didn't know what anxiety was. And so what I did is I quit, and I quit in the most unhonorable way ever. I sent an email. I was so embarrassed and ashamed of myself. I felt like I couldn't hack it. I clearly felt, oh, I got my dream job at 24. Who gets their dream job at 24? Who gets all their dreams coming true at 24? I felt so undeserving. I feel like people, you have to be older. You have to be prepared for this. Does this make sense to any of you guys? Is this relating to your anxiety? Like you get something you always wanted. You feel like you've accomplished it. And all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I shouldn't have this. Wait a minute, like this shouldn't be happening to me. Put a 1 in the chat if you relate to that. So there I was, got my dream job, like everything I thought was like easy breezy. I was going to live in Australia for 4 years. Like I was like, I'm not meant to be in Canada. I was like, had this, I'm too good for Canada. Like I'm too good for my hometown. Like I'm made for bigger and better things. And then I got the thing and I was completely not prepared to get it. And then I started second guessing. Who am I? What am I? The imposter syndrome was real. Like I said, okay, I'm glad that you guys that you like this. And I sent an email being like, I'm not going to be able to continue to work here. And I was living in Sydney, Australia, and I was so scared that like my anxiety was so wild. I don't know if you guys ever can recognize when your anxiety is telling you such irrational things, but my anxiety was telling me that my boss was going to come find where I live and come confront me. I was so scared of confrontation because the anxiety of, I don't know how I'm going to stand up for myself. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how to do any of this was so strong that I hid. I played small. I lived in a house that was, you could see the ocean from the front door. And one of my dreams in life was like, I want to live by the ocean. And I did it, but I didn't put a time frame on my dream. And I only lived there for 2 months. And then I moved to another town in Australia. And I was like, you know what, maybe I just need a break. I need a new atmosphere. I went in and I applied for a job at a salon. They hired me right away. And I was like, I can't do it. The anxiety was paralyzing, but I didn't know it was anxiety. I wasn't self-aware enough. I wasn't able to reflect, and I wasn't able to see what was going on. I was sabotaging my life and my career over and over again, and I didn't even know it. I just felt like there was this strong force upon me being like, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're not worthy. And so I didn't even know that it was anxiety, but I kept on running away from the hard thing. I kept running away from the thing that made me feel uncomfortable. And here's the reality that I can know at almost 42 years old. My birthday's on Friday, by the way, is you have to run into and toward the hard thing. And anxiety is in the anticipation of stuff. And if I could go back to 24-year-old Dawn and say, you've got this, you can push through, it's going to be uncomfortable and there's going to be failures, but you're going to get it. Who knows where I'd be? I'm happy where I'm at in life now. But anxiety tells you not to do the thing that's probably going to relieve the most stress, but it's going to be painful. And here's a book I read recently, talks about there are 3 guarantees in life: pain, uncertainty, and constant work. And a lot of us avoid the emotional and mental work on ourselves. They're like, it's easier to run from the pain. And in the book, it talks about like when you break a bone, your body heals itself in a force outside yourself. You don't really have to try to heal your broken bone. You have to let it heal on its own. But when you have an emotional or mental wound, especially when it comes to like things like anxiety and trying to overcome it, you have to actively work on healing it. And doing the active work of healing your anxiety or healing your emotional state or your mental state is uncomfortable. Just like having to put a cast on your arm when it's broken and it's uncomfortable to not be able to use it. And you have to start compensating you have to use different strengths of yours while this heals. When you heal your anxiety, when you start to heal your anxiety, when you start to heal your imposter syndrome, when you start to push into the discomfort of growth mentally and emotionally, it's going to be uncomfortable. But if you keep running away from it, the book that I'm reading, I was listening to another book by the same author today. He said, think about like the things that you avoid to feel comfortable. And so maybe it's confrontation, maybe it's standing up for yourself. Just think about what is it? Maybe it's criticism, maybe it's being alone, whatever it is that you try to stay away from, or maybe your avoidance is your thing.
and think of it and picture yourself like staying comfortable and picture yourself like being in this womb, like your mother's womb. And then ask yourself, and I thought this was so cool in the book, I said, ask yourself, can I fulfill my life's purpose from here? And so really thinking about the tip for your anxiety is to take action quicker. Messy, immediate, imperfect action. It's not about getting it right or getting it perfect. It's about taking action quicker. And the book actually says you will gain more confidence by having a failed action quicker than having a successful action through procrastination and over planning. And so my tip here for you today for your anxiety is to take action quicker, get out of the mental gymnastics, get out of the overthinking. Actually, the other day when I posted on my stories on Sunday, I was having such bad anxiety and panic. I had to keep going. Instead of thinking about it, I over intellectualize so much. I'll think about what I'm dealing with and think about and try to think my way through something. But what I learned I had to do on Sunday was I had to feel my way through it. And feeling pain, feeling discomfort, feeling anxiety is really uncomfortable. And this is an overshare, but I remember on Sunday sitting on the couch and it was almost like, I don't want to say it was like not a physical tingly sensation, but it was my nervous system for sure being dysregulated or shutting down, because it was like an internal tingly sensation throughout my entire body. Like I don't even know how to describe it, but it was like as if there was creepy crawlies on the inside of me, and it was so uncomfortable. And I wanted to run away. I wanted to run into comfort. I wanted to run into a vice. I wanted to run away into something that was going to make me feel better. But I decided to, instead of thinking about what's going on or how can I solve this or let's describe what's going on, I'm like, I'm just going to feel it. So I started to try to cry because I thought that might help. And then no tears came. And then I silently screamed. And I don't allow myself to get angry very often. I don't know, I need to dig into that deeper, why I don't allow myself to get angry. I have a lot of compassion. So I silently screamed. Like I did like a and then I just couldn't stop. And it was like releasing this like anger or pent up anger or frustration or whatever it was in me. And I just kept doing it until I was exhausted. And then after I was done, it was like that anxiety that I had that I didn't even know how to describe. And I wanted to go into a mental loop of what is this? Where is this coming from? How do I get rid of this? Because I want to think my way through things. And anxiety is often trying to pre-problem solve the future. I just let myself feel it through my body, release it through my body. Sometimes I used to just go for a run. I can't run anymore. My body doesn't love it. So I go for walks. But that like silent, and I remember reading somewhere in a book that said like silently screaming like that, your brain doesn't know the difference between that and actually screaming, and it'll actually release the same amount of stress. And so that's my little tip for you this morning with your anxiety is maybe try silently screaming or screaming into a pillow, or maybe you need to punch into a pillow, but get the actual emotion moving through your body. Because if you just try to, I really believe that there's no shortage of information out there in the world. And a lot of people, myself included, are thinking, learning, listening, watching, understanding how to do things, but we're not actually doing the work to do it. And so ask yourself, am I just consuming content? Am I just consuming audiobooks? Am I just consuming books on how to learn and understand and watch and listen and do understand how to deal with anxiety, but am I actually dealing with my anxiety? Am I actually feeling it and flushing it through? Does this make sense? Let me know if you have any questions, comments on anxiety, or if you have a question for me about your anxiety, let me know. I've lived through a lot of things. I've managed to get through a lot of things, and I've dealt with them the wrong way a lot of times. And that's what my Rock Your Business program helps my students with, is their anxiety and their stress in their business, building your confidence so that you can create more revenue in a non-sleazy way, but in a way that has authenticity and integrity, showing that your clients, you're not doing something to them or at them, but you're doing it for them. Okay, so there's 3 different books by the same authors. And the one I'm listening to this morning is called The Tools, and I would start there, by Phil Stutz. And then I don't remember, and I can't go out of the app right now, but Phil Stutz, Stutz, just go on Audible, or if you're more of a reader, go there. But The Tools is really good, and it talks to you about like actual tools to use to get through things, not just exploring just your childhood trauma, not just like understanding yourself, but actual tools to help manage the stuff. And I've read them in a backwards order, and I can't remember the first book that I read. If you've been on here long enough this morning, I had my dream job at 24 and I totally messed it up. Not messed it up. I see it as how I can look at it. Everything works out. I don't want to say everything happens for a reason, but everything works out if you choose to. You can grow from everything if you choose to. And there's moments like 2 weeks ago, I was bawling my freaking eyes out and like my nervous system was a wreck for 3 days. And then I'm in a much different place today. And not to say that I won't be in a different place tomorrow. It's realizing that you're not going to get out of pain or adversity in your life. There's always going to be pain, uncertainty, and constant work. And there's no arrival point of ever being completely self-aware, completely healed, but there's stepping stones. How do you deal with anxiety to level up in your business without being sleazy, but intentional in dealing with the fear of judgment of your family and friends? Is it just like, how do you push yourself out there more? I remember when I first moved to Calgary in 2014, and I knew I needed clientele quick, and I knew that I needed to do something, and I knew I had to put myself out there. And the voice in my head that kept going on was, what are all the girls back home? So I was from Saskatchewan. What are all the girls back home that you used to work with thinking about you being so confident right now? And I had to do some work on myself going, why am I so worried about the people who aren't going to book in with me? What are they going to say? And they're not the ones paying my bills, and I need to get my bills paid. And I know I'm not perfect, and I know that I'm going to have clients that won't be the right fit, but I know that what I have to offer is going to help women in Calgary. I know it's going to make them feel better about themselves. So I'm going to focus on the person I'm helping and what they need to hear from me, rather than the people who might criticize me or misunderstand me. And it's hard because I developed that muscle in 2014, and I did it. I got fully booked within 12 weeks. I built my business so quick. And then I stopped exercising that muscle, and I'm in a similar place again, where it's like, what are people going to think? What are people going to say? And the reality is that people who are too scared to do the thing that you're going to do are going to talk shit about you. And so I was talking about the book that I was listening to this morning. I had to drop my car off for an oil change, and I walked home, and I don't know, it's like a one or 2 kilometer walk. So I had 20 minutes to listen to this book, and it talks about being in your comfort zone. And if your fear is criticism, you can avoid it by staying in your comfort zone, but will you fulfill your purpose? And being growth and fulfilling your purpose is going to require some level of pain and discomfort. And I wish I could say otherwise. But moving through it, like I've been teased relentlessly by my own family about what I do for a living. They say I don't really work, or they're like, oh, like you're just like motivational speaking, because that's a big component of what I do is motivate. And it's hard because I feel like they don't take me seriously. But then I get DMs from people being like, you've changed my life, or like my business, I would have never be making this kind of money in my business if it wasn't for the Rock Your Business program and the community. And so I have to choose to go, you know what, the people who aren't meant to hear this, or the people who aren't ready to hear this, or the people who this isn't for, aren't going to understand it. And they might criticize it because that's their, like someone criticizing you or someone not understanding you is more of a sign of their lack of ability to reflect and focus. Because when I see things now that make me cringe, or when I go like, when I see something that somebody puts out there that I'm like, oh, I have to take a step back and do a reality check on myself and go, maybe I'm just not the ideal client for them. Maybe who they're talking to is a different audience, and I'm not that person. And so this isn't going to land for me, of course, because it's not meant to. And these are things that I share in Rock Your Business about like knowing who you're trying to help and who your ideal client is, and really focusing on trying to block out, which is hard because I do not like being criticized either. But like, for example, a lot of my content, I talk about farting, oversharing, anxiety, and a hairstylist who doesn't like feel weird or quirky or like a misfit would be like, this advice sucks, right? Because they're not dealing with the struggle, but I know who my people are. And so I talk directly to the people who need Rock Your Business, who are people who are anxious, worried about what the criticism of others, want to step up, but are scared to step into their power, worried about who am I to think this? And knowing that they have what it takes, they know they have the capacity, know they could do it. They just want to be there without the pain. It's like we want to bypass the pain and get to where we want to be. And we know that we're capable of it. We know that if I could just get there, I know I could maintain it. But getting, like, the part about getting there is going through the discomfort. You can't get there without the discomfort. And so it's not about getting there magically. Oh, if I only could win the lottery. It's proof that people who win the lottery, like, I think it's 79% of them end up back in the same financial place. It's not about having the things and then you'll be able to do it. It's about developing the discipline, structure, and routine with yourself to overcome the hurdles that are required to get to that place so that you can maintain it. Because it would be so easy for me to teach you guys how to grow your business, how to make more money, how to make 6 figures in a slimy, sleazy way that you could push yourself and you could do it without integrity, and you could make good money fast, but you wouldn't sustain it. My purpose and my job is to show you how to overcome the fear of confidence, the fear of being seen, the fear of criticism, the fear of rejection, so that you can get to a place where you are standing confidently in your worth, in what you know, and that you're not pushing sales on people. You're not pushing people into things. You're doing it with integrity, speaking to the people that need to have what you have to offer from a place of true authenticity and kindness, so that you can maintain where you're at. Okay. Does that help? Your advice does work. Literally walking through so much stress, big move at home. I have noticed when packing, it makes a mess. And once I see movement, I feel so much better. You have to make a mess to clean a mess. Ooh, I like that. The mess stresses me the F out. Yeah. Sounds like The Secret that was out a few years ago. Oh, do I sound like The Secret? I was like so against The Secret back in the day. That's so funny. I think the underlying fear is that those people's opinions are what everyone could be thinking. And what if you so deeply feel true to share? And what if what you feel so deeply feel true to share with the world is not what people actually need? Oh, Victoria, that's how I felt about RYB, and look at how many people it's helped, right? You're one of them. And imagine if I would have been too scared to talk about Rock Your Business and too scared to talk about what I feel like who it needs to help and what it's for. And at the end of the day, I had to be like, even if it helps one person, but it's helped hundreds of people, which is so cool. And I had to step into the fear of being seen, being rejected, and people going, who does she think she is? Why does she keep talking about this? Oh my gosh, can she stop talking about anxiety? Those are all the fears. And maybe sometimes things do flop and fail, but you have to adjust, right? That's all of it is. Business is hard at the moment. I'm afraid of not bringing an SMP artist. I'm afraid of being an SMP artist. I pace and never start. Now I have a chance, but I have to pay and also give 50% to the person helping me. I'm not sure what SMP artist is. But yeah, I think the thing is we have to push past the fear, and it's not about a guarantee of it all working out or working out the way you hoped or planned. God, I could tell you guys how many things in my life have not worked out the way I planned. And so much so. With my birthday coming up on Friday, I remember my 40th birthday was like a bust. It was a shit year. And I was like, it can only get better from here. And again, I'm here now 2 years later. My birthday's on Friday, being like, wow, my life is not where I thought it would be 2 years from now. I really thought, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm moving. This is all personalized stuff. I'm doing the right thing. I'm making the right moves. I'm going to be rewarded. And I have a video that I recorded of myself, and I've never posted, on my 40th birthday, crying, being like, this is not what I thought 40 would look like. This is not what I thought my life would look like. This is not at all. But in so many ways, it's better. But in so many ways, it's not what I thought it was going to be. And then now, with my birthday happening on Friday and reflecting and going, wow, I can see growth in myself. I'm not catastrophizing my life. I'm going, it's not where I thought it would be. Things aren't working out the way I'd hoped they'd be. But you know what? I have a choice in all this. I can sit back and cry and be upset and be like, why does this always happen to me? Or I can go, how can I make this work for me? I can't control the outside world. The only person I can control is myself. And I can't control how, the experiences or how people respond or react to me. But all I can control is, am I at peace with who I am? Am I happy with how I'm showing up? Am I showing up in a way that honors myself? I just saw a quote from Glennon Doyle that was saying we have to learn to disappoint people. And when you think of the word disappoint, it's unappointing someone as an authority in your life. So disappoint as many people as you can so that you can step into your power. So disappointing other people means taking them off a pedestal, unappointing them as an authority in your life, and being like, okay, I have to step into my own. And when you think back to when you want to look, if you think of yourself at 95 years old and looking back on your life and talking to yourself now, will they be proud of what you did? Or will they go, oh, why were you so worried about what other people thought? Scalp micropigmentation artist. I'm always afraid of starting. It's tattooing bald alopecia scalps. I used to be a hairstylist. Oh yeah. Step into the fear. Instead of running from the fear, step into it. I think there's a real fear can be there for a reason. It's in us instinctually. And it's back in the day when lions were chasing us. But you need to go, is there true threat right now? Is there actual danger? Or am I just afraid? And sometimes a risk is a risk because it's a risk. And a lot of times we're risk adverse. We want guarantee. And some of the most beautiful moments in my life have come from taking the biggest leaps. And I feel like I'm in a state like that again, where I'm like, will I regret not trying? Will I regret not taking a leap? I could lose everything, but could I gain myself in the process? What am I willing to lose? Is it just material objects that I'm willing to lose? Is it just my pride? Am I afraid of being embarrassed? Am I afraid of people talking behind my back, but then living this life that doesn't feel authentic to me? Am I scared to get clients so I don't try, but then I have to go work at a different job that doesn't bring me life? Am I willing to be teased, misunderstood, or talk behind my back to get to the life that I want to get to? And that's hard. I'm not downplaying that at all. That is really hard. But I want you guys to ask yourself, and here's the thing, I have a free masterclass, no pressure, but if you're overwhelmed, if you're burnt out and you want to go from overwhelmed to profitable in your business in ways that have integrity, that ways that feel authentic, that ways that build upon your business in a way that helps you show up in your fullness of you, not in a sleazy, slimy, pushy, grimy way, the link is in my bio, or you can comment on any of my post masterclass. And the little internet robots will send you a link to my free masterclass, From Overwhelmed to Profitable. If you like the way I talk, if you're into the way I teach, it's a free workshop. There's an offer at the end you can take up, you cannot take up. But just do yourself a favor and start learning how to do it differently, and realizing that running from the fear and the pain is not the answer. Running through it and towards it is what will bring you the most reward, whether it is through financial, whether it is through confidence, whether it's through experience. Like, doesn't always work out the way you want it to work out, but it can always work out for you. I believe life can happen for you, not at you. Life isn't happening. What is it? Life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. If you choose, and you have to actively choose. Have your moment, cry your eyes out, feel sorry for yourself, and then decide, I'm going to step up, I'm going to step in, I'm going to get into the boxing match, and I'm going to fight for my life for what I want, because I know I'm made for more. And if that feels like you, shoot me a DM, let's chat. I'm here for it. I really believe in being able to overcome the adversity that we experience, and that every opportunity we are allowed to feel, we are allowed to, I don't believe in like white positivity overload. I think life sucks and shit happens that we weren't meant to ever go through, deal with. And sometimes we fall flat on our faces, but everything can be an opportunity for growth if you choose to allow it. But don't stop yourself from feeling it, expressing it, experiencing it, and validating it. Don't downplay it, and then move on from it. You've got this, friend. If you like this, shoot me a DM, share it with a friend. Let's chat. I'm here for it.
That was vulnerable. If you've ever felt like anxiety was running the show, or like you had to quit before you even started, you're not alone. And you're not broken. You're just human. And hey, if you're building a business and want to stop the panic spirals, the people pleasing, and the pressure to do it all perfectly, I made something just for you. Head to dawnbradley.com/free class to get instant access to my free masterclass, From Overwhelmed to Profitable, how to build a sustainable business that actually supports your nervous system and your bank account. It's totally free, no fluff, just honest, actionable support to help you build a business that works for you, not against you. And until next time, friend, stay weird, stay messy, and stay unapologetically you.